Halo Book Club, a part of Evolve, your home for Halo. Halo Book Club goes beyond the video games and covers Halo's extended media lore, from the novels, short stories, comic books, and more. I'm your host today, David, and joining me once again is the lovely Ian. Hello, Ian.
Hello, David.
Yes, we're getting there, Ian. We're scraping. They keep putting these things out, but fuck, we're almost there.
We're getting there slowly.
Yeah, we're almost caught up. We have an actual book to do as well, but I'll get around to that. That's in my brain, but
yes.
It'll happen.
One day.
One day. I'm confident about our move to Discord. This'll help. I think get some things made. So
let's do it.
Let's do it. So before we get started, if you're new to the show, welcome. Halo Book Club is part of Evolve, like I mentioned earlier. We host a whole bunch of other shows, variously Halo themed. We have the main show, Podcast Evolved, Mission Debrief, Builds of Blocks, HS Pro Talk, which we partner with, Halo TV Plus, and Halo Gear Guide, as well as Halo Headlines. But Halo Headlines is kind of gone now, so I'm going to delete that from the script because it shouldn't be there anymore. Okie dokie. So you can learn more about each of our shows at our website, our amazing website, built by the lovely Ian, haloevolved.co. We also have halopodcast.com, which makes me very happy still to this very day. If you're already found the show, please rate us and leave a review. We greatly appreciate all our feedback and anything you can think of to improve our shows. We're all about it. I'd like to take this moment to thank all of our patrons. Thank you very much for your continued support. You guys are pretty amazing, and you know it. They know it. So thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
If you're not subscribed, our patrons, Ian knows.
We'll go.
He gets it. If you aren't subscribed, our patrons receive a bunch of exclusive rewards. They get early episodes, they get some unique swag, access to our own podcast soundtrack, which is baller, by the way, and an exclusive podcast show called I Would Have Been Your Podcast, which is a kind of community-driven, off-topic podcast that Ian kind of runs, and we have a lot of rotating guests. It's mostly me. It was mostly Aaron, but there's some other people in there too, Steve and stuff like that. Come along. You can head over to our patreon.com/HaloEvolve to learn more. And finally, also, if you would like to support us via Audible, you can do so. So over there, you'll get every single Halo novel. They're all there, as well as obviously thousands of other programs and various bits and pieces that Audible does. So there's a URL for that, which is audibletrial.com/podcastevolved to learn more as our free trial today. So there you go. What's our bits and pieces? So today, like you said, you're listening to a book club. If you clicked on this, you know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about The Third Life, which is a Halo Waypoint Chronicles. The author this time is listed on Halopedia as Alex Wakeford and Jeff Easterling, which I think is quite interesting. It's the first time we've had a co-author. The publisher is 343 Industries, in brackets, Halo Industries, in close brackets, or Halo Studios. Yes. So there's still 343. We're kind of catching up. So the format is YouTube and PDF via the Halo website. Its release date was 2024. I won't say how far back we were. It was 8th of May. That's how far back we are. It's about 27 minutes. And this summary is as follows. It's a short story in the Halo Waypoint Chronicles, like I mentioned. The story is set immediately following the end of Season 2 of Hunt the True. So this is what really caught my attention, especially the Hunt the True theme, kind of chime that plays in the beginning of this. I was like, oh shit. It got me very excited. So it's focused on the rogue Spartan super soldier Ilsa Zane. Also very exciting. This is lining up to be a good one. It's a short and the theme of a banished style Spartan. This short and its theme of the Banished Alliance Spartans were written and released in conjunction with the Banished Honor update for Halo Infinite. So the story acts as a follow-up to the characters and themes established across Halo Evolutions, Stomping on the Heels of a Fuss, which is a short story from Halo Evolutions, a comic series Halo Initiation, which is where the character Ilsa Zane came from initially, and like I said, Hunt the Truth, specifically Season 2. So if you're a long-time listener of the show, you may recall that we were big fans of Hunt the Truth when that was out. So that was the audio kind of drama that played out over 2 seasons prior to Halo 5. It was all about season 1 was about like a journalist, and then season 2 was who was the main character?
It was Pharaoh, right?
Pharaoh, that's right. He was like an operative, an Oni operative.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And it's very, very cool. They've never done anything since, which is obviously disappointing because we all kind of loved that and loved kind of that style. So definitely this kind of piqued my interest. So I'll give you some of the deets, and then myself and Liam will kind of discuss what kind of goes on. So we're operating in October 2559. The location is Lakaya 3. The characters are Ilsa Zane, Datha Gavidim, and Escarum. There's also a few other brutes that are kind of unnamed, but you think one of them would be named, but they're not. And a bunch of random humans. So, and there's also like Admiral Drake, who is the NCA's kind of leader of their forces. So that's important coming from Ilsa Zane's kind of story arc, because he would have been her superior officer for while she was in the NCA. So you've probably picked up on I'm quite positive on the story, and I quite enjoyed it. We've not been like amazed by the Waypoint Chronicles series, but this might be my favorite so far. Ian, how are you feeling on the vibes of this story?
It wasn't bad. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know that I enjoyed it as much as you seem to have, but it was fine. It was better than whichever the last one was. I don't remember the last one we recorded, but it was better than
Fireside, I think that was called.
Maybe.
Like that.
Maybe. But anyways, yeah, it's a good story. It's what was it like? Was it about 30 minutes on the YouTube audiobook? Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't bad. I do like I think I've said this before. I do just like this format generally. It's just nice for them to provide the text, and then also the I mean, on YouTube it's just there's a little bit of graphics and whatnot, but it's mostly just the audio. But even so, it's nice to have. It's nice to have the audiobook version of it. It's free to all Halo fans, so that's nice.
Yeah, you can't complain with free stuff.
No, and like I've said before, these all do feel like little short stories you would have in a Halo Evolutions kind of collection. But it's nice to do it in this format. I like these little stories. It's okay. I think the thing that's giving me hang-ups is that I despise Ilsa Zane as a character in the universe.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
goodness. The story is good. Other than the main character of the story.
Well, let's briefly do the story. So the story is Ilsa Zane. She is kind of narrating over to a person of like a bit of a kind of flashback story. She's on the bridge of a ship. She has a prisoner. She's talking to him and saying, you can't kill Ilsa Zane because Ilsa Zane, blah, blah, blah. Talks about why she's so pissed off for this person. So go back to her in terms of picking up directly after the end of season 2 of Hunted True, where Pharaoh kind of reveals himself and kind of betrays the unit that he's infiltrated, which is Ilsa Zane's kind of unit. So he kind of, I think it's called like an airstrike down on them or something, but it's also along the lines of is when the Guardians start arriving or coming out of the earth, so they're like destroying things. So that kind of happens around that area. So she's hunting down Pharaoh on this planet. I think it's Conrad's Point, and again a Guardian essentially emerges and she gets kind of caught in this kind of vortex as it's leaving, and then it's like she thinks she's dead. She thinks that's it, that she's done, but she essentially survives and she wakes up as a banished prisoner. So seeing her, like, the story pick up, I was like, oh, interesting, okay, I'm with this. She is being told there's a whole bunch of other humans around her. Some of them are NCA, some of them are UNSC. And there's also an interesting character I feel like was randomly thrown in, is a guy named Dasa Gavidim, which you may or may not remember. He's from another story called Stomping on the Heels of a Fuss. So he's like a religious leader, kind of a scam artist, semi-cult kind of stuff that he's been doing. And they're called the Triad, is essentially his cult that he set up. So he's like in exile on a planet for himself, to letting everybody think that he's transcended a different plane, and he's going to reveal himself later on, which essentially he did after like 10 years or something like that, of saying, oh, I'm back, I willed myself back into existence, give me all your money, that kind of stuff. So he's here randomly, and he kind of explains to Ilsa what the story is. You're captured, these are the banished. He's only kind of hear rumors of them. They essentially come in once a day, pick a person and eat them. So they're just captured in these pens kept here. So she realizes she has a tracker in her that like the NCA will come and rescue her in 3 days. She kind of explains that to this guy, so they kind of strike a deal essentially of like, you save me and I'll save you, we look after each other, blah blah blah. And then a brute comes in and she says, fuck this, and she beats the crap out of this guy, kills him with his own armor, which is pretty cool. and then the brute chieftain, is really impressed with her, and essentially takes her under his wing and gives her the option to like join his pack, but she has to pick the person to be et, and she like turns around and says, "That's it, Gavin." It picks him, which is like her loose thread, where she doesn't want him revealing to her or to anyone else that the NCA are coming and she's a tracker. So essentially, she betrays him like immediately, and he just dies. He gets eaten, and then she partakes of this, and then the NCA don't come to her, so she's left to kind of find her own way, and very quickly just becomes one of the pack. And every day she goes in and picks a person and eats them along with the pack, which is kind of crazy, but I like it. I like it because you don't hear anything like this. So then we cut back to, okay, eventually Eshram shows up, and she strikes a deal with Eshram, essentially saying, "I'll get you the NCA if you like support me or whatever." So essentially that's what she does. You flash back to where she was in the beginning of the story. It's Admiral Drake. She's tied up. She's killed a bunch of people to get on the bridge, and she essentially just executes him and says, "I'm taking the NCA," and the NCA is now joining Eshram, and he joins her on the bridge, and they're now one big happy family. So Eshram pretty much promises, "Oh, you won't be under the yoke of anyone else. You never have to submit to anyone else. You can just be badasses in the Banished." So she becomes like a Blood Star, which is like an uber assassin, or kind of like a special ops kind of unit within the Banished. I think Blood Stars are specifically anti-Spartan. I think that's what they are. So there's a picture of her essentially with new Spartan armor that she's coupled together from Spartans that she's killed, which I think is pretty cool. So that's kind of where the story ends, with her being part of the Banished now, hunting down Spartans and killing them. And I liked the premise. I like the setup. I like how quick it kind of moves with her. So let's get into... Ian liked the story, but does not like Ilsa Zane. Talk to me about Ilsa Zane.
Well, I will preface this with I do like her portrayal in this. I think more than I have in the past. She's sort of like this just OP Spartan super, like she's just like sort of a superhero-ish, like, or I guess it's like super villain.
Yeah, we should probably preface that I never went in. So the very first Spartan Force, there was only a very small number of them, and they were originally designed to be without armor. So they were like supposed to be uber people, essentially. Captain America, as you can imagine, is what they were thinking of: unbreakable bones, incredible skin, stamina, strength, all that kind of stuff. And I think all of them die except for her in the process, and she goes a bit mental. And then they like sideline her and send her to Oni, and she escapes and joins the NCA, and then she's very anti UNSC as a result. She gets indoctrinated. So yeah, I guess yeah.
So
big baddie.
Yeah. The whole the fact that she's like this seemingly invincible supervillain kind of character in the Halo universe just doesn't. It feels very out of place, I think. So that, I think that's the part that just kind of annoys me about her existence in the universe in general. But in the story, was good. It was a good, like you said, it had a good flow, and I did kind of like where it went. It doesn't really, I guess I don't know that it adds too much to the Halo universe overall, but it's another little snapshot into here's where she is now.
Yeah, essentially, well, that's what the Chronicles are. I don't think any of these Wasteland Chronicles are going to be devastatingly life-changing to Halo lore, but I think breathing new life into these old characters and keeping them around is interesting, although it does also feed into the small universe syndrome that Halo has, the same as Star Wars and stuff, of like, okay, it's another old character that is being brought up and is never too far away from the main story. But I liked, one of the reasons why I liked the Banished initially is that they take in humans. Now I know there's been stories that wax and wane over how well that actually goes, but I always like the idea of it, of this kind of force that takes in, and we can have bad guy humans running around out there as well, which is kind of what I like. We get an element of it. We don't ever see it in the games, but it'd be nice to see, like, Elsa would be a badass fight to put up against Chief. Do you know what I mean? A person like that would be pretty cool. So I think we'd like to see that.
Yeah, maybe. For sure. We'll see. I'm skeptical. It's it's been the Banished. I guess technically since 2017 with Halo Wars 2 they've been around, but like they've been sort of 2 games, one like main story game, and even then it's a kind of a little. It's a bit of a snapshot of the Banished in general, and it's kind of along with all the Cortana stuff and the the created, and it's a little bit. There's a lot more to it in all of the external media, all the media that like the books and
of course,
stories and stuff, and it hasn't. That story has kind of. I guess I don't know where we're at with it now, because it seemed like that's where we were going with the main storyline, but I don't even know what the plan is at I guess now Halo Studios.
So, I know. I mean,
so I like the Banished. I like the Banished. I wish they had gone, and I wish it would have stuck with them, and we would have gotten more out of them, especially in Infinite. It looked like there was a lot we could have done there, and they just never did anything with it. So it's unfortunate to see that, but this story does fit in well with what you do know of the Banished from Infinite and the couple of novels they're in and whatnot. So and it makes sense, I think, that for her to take over the NCA, but then like for the NCA to join forces with the Banished, that makes sense, I think, to me. I mean, that's kind of their whole thing, right? I think there's at least one other novel I can think of that they basically tried to do the same thing with the Covenant, right? Back in like early Covenant war times, they tried to like make alliances with the Covenant against the UNSC, and that didn't work out so well for them then.
No. But I like the idea of it. I like that it's not just cookie cutter aliens bad guys, humans good guys kind of thing, that we can have some of the nuance of like humans betraying their own race.
It is good. It's good. Yeah, it is good for the story. We never see it in games, I think, because it's just there's a hesitation.
There's a lot to set up there.
Well, there's a lot to set up, and there's just I think that in the Halo universe, at least in the games, you've never fought humans before, right? As a
it's true.
As a player,
unless you're Crystal, I will say that, because Crystal kills all the Marines. So,
sure, yeah, she is. But yeah, you never fight against them in the games, and so I kind of would be very surprised.
I would like to.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that, but you never do. And there's a couple of times where you're sort of pitted against them, and you still don't. The beginning of Halo Reach is one of those times where you're going in against I guess insurrection or whomever it is, but ends up being they end up being all dead anyways, right? And I don't think you ever fight any of the humans.
No, you don't.
No, and there's a couple other times where it's like you feel like Halo 2, where you're playing as the Arbiter, and you still aren't fighting against people. You're fighting against other Covenant. So it's like you just never do ever.
That's a good point. Yeah, and
so it's it's just a thing for Halo.
There's a bit of, let's say, Halo 5 Guardians. Okay, you have Chief versus
again,
Locke,
right?
But it's not playable. But it happens. That's about
it's not right. Exactly. It's not playable. There's the best you get is a controversial fist fight between the two.
Yeah. Which is probably what would happen if Ilsa showed up. I imagine it's a cutscene fight. You're not.
Mm-hmm. But I would love. That's the thing with Halo, is just I'd love to. There's maybe there's so much I think I would enjoy more out of Halo, out of the universe, if it were a little bit darker and more serious.
For sure.
Because there is a lot of good stuff there, and they just it's not the gaming audience, I don't think is quite there, so they just don't go in that direction. But it is what it is, I suppose.
Let's see. There's talk of other Halo projects, but now in Halo Studios, so we'll see what we get out of this.
We'll see. That's a conversation for a different episode.
For sure. Another podcast. So, in summary, we actually quite like this. So this is, I'd say, our highest praise we can get for the Waypoint Chronicles so far. We like the story the most of all the ones, especially from the last one. It wasn't pretty good, but I know there's another good one coming up. I know Veronica Dare is a recurring character in the one that came out. I can't even remember when, but it's not the most recent one, the second most recent one. So I'm looking forward to that, because Steve has listened to it and said it's quite good. And I want to know where Dare is, so I'm all about it. And it's been many, many years since we have an update on that character.
Continuing the reunion tour of the B-list Halo characters, I suppose.
Yes. Who else can we get? So there is she's about she's 3 episodes away. So we've got 2 more episodes.
Oh, okay,
so
okay.
We'll get
well, we're that far behind. Oof.
Yeah, we've another 3. And I think looking at it, I think there is another one due maybe tomorrow. Halo 2 anniversary is occurring very soon.
Oh shit!
Something else like
oh shit! It is. Holy crap!
Yeah. I think it might even be.
We just dated the recording.
Maybe we did. It's okay. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Okay, there we go. So thank you all for joining us. Like we mentioned at the top of the show, you can find all of our episodes on our website, which is haloevolved.co. It features links to our Discord server, Facebook group, Patreon page, Xbox Live Club, and everything else in there. You got all of our contact information. We're getting way better in our Discord group than we've been. Our Facebook group is a bit quiet, I will say. Steve keeps it alive, and there's a few people over there. Obviously, our Patreon page is where you can get all the stuff. And Xbox Live, there are regular enough game nights going on, so go check us out over there. Once again, so special shout out to our patrons. Thank you very much for this, making it all possible. That's patreon.com/Halo Podcast Evolved. Or is it just Halo Evolved? Is it Halo Podcast Evolved? Is that Patreon?
Patreon is just Halo Evolved.
No, I thought so. That's a way much bigger. Yeah. We'll take that out of there. Boom. Okay. And with that, I have been... Oh, hold on. We have a voicemail function. It does exist. It doesn't get used, but it's there. So if you get the urge to talk to us with your voice, you and do so via 205 Evolved. That's 205-386-5833. With that, I've been your host today, David. And until next time, Evolved.